Hey everybody, welcome into the Lettermen Lounge. This is Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. We are here at the location on Olentangy River Road. Even when the rain is coming down, this is the greatest city in the world, Columbus, Ohio. You got Bobby Carpenter out there catching a little practice and catching some raindrops. It's a toughness day, for him go out there and work through the rain. Jay-Z, Berm, you don't have to tell us what you saw, Bob, but I mean, just the fact that these guys, through 2 weeks of camp, got a scrimmage on Saturday. Now you get some bad weather. Got to see what these guys can bring.
I don't know if I'd call it bad. We'll call it inclement weather.
Well, it felt a little like August out here.
It felt like August in
October,
in Miami, Florida. It wasn't cold outside.
Okay.
It was about a 60-degree rain. Right now, it was raining fairly hard. They were on turf, so you had firm footing. I mean, Kerry Combs and I out there, both of us just in a straight, T-shirt, no hat, no coat, no gloves, just getting soaked and really drinking it in. And that's what the toughness element is about. All right, so we're going to go out there. You can either cry, and complain about the weather, or you can respond to it, which was what Ryan's message was about, it's how you handle the response to what's going on. Like, can't change it. If it's going to be raining, you can't say, well, Kevin Warren, push pause. Let's just start next week.
Don't give him an excuse.
I mean, he might just cancel the season for rain.
So, it's good.
Reschedule.
It's really good to get some work like this, to have a day where it's raining really hard. Because otherwise, you get in there and like, hey, it's supposed to rain on Saturday, and they're like trying to wet the balls down and stuff. But it's tough to replicate that. So it was really good, I think, a good opportunity for the quarterbacks, the receivers. Because those guys can't wear the gloves. I mean, they could wear maybe the older school, like G-Tac ones, not like the super, Magna Grip ones now. So they could have done that. But most of the guys, running around out there, no gloves on, having to work through this. You got some California kids. West Coast guys trying to throw the football. I mean, a little bit tougher. Maybe you can throw it through a forest fire out in California, but you're not really throwing it through any rain of some substance. Maybe get some guys from like Miami. That might be a little different where it rains like every day.
Sure.
And I think that maybe would help a guy like Kyle McCord who grew up in the Northeast, Midwest footprint where you're going to get some of those rainy and drizzly days, and every day is not San Diego where it's 70 and sunny.
Well, if you've got somebody from California or Phoenix, then you got to find out if they can handle it. Because guess what?
Doesn't rain there.
You got to place a Big Ten schedule. You're going to see some adverse weather, as Jay-Z is.
It does rain in Phoenix sometimes.
It does. We've been there.
How would you know?
I used to live there.
Quinn Ewers is here, by the way.
Yes.
We
haven't even talked about
I was going to see if we could just ignore that this was happening for as long as possible.
Yeah, why? I mean, we don't need to talk about it.
He walked through the practice facility. He is here.
I grew my hair out. Big deal.
He Quinn Ewers took part in Picture Day on Sunday. He's got a uniform. He walked through the facility. And Berm now is going to just pay homage to the mullet.
Why not? It's the greatest.
But can he throw it? Can he throw the football in the rain?
Well,
I don't know if we found that out today. He wasn't allowed, huh?
I've been down there when it started. Berm and I were down there, and they were like, they ran right into the indoor. They don't want to. Yeah. Well, I've not seen Quinn throw the football in the rain.
He does, but I would define Texas and Dallas as a lot different than Phoenix and California. It doesn't rain there a ton, but it does get cold. They do have to play, in some level of weather. The one thing they do have a lot of out there is some wind. You get some nice windstorms. So a little rain, little wind. Quinn Ewers, he just got here. It's not like you're going to throw him in there. Hey, go take some reps, buddy. I mean, you got acclimation days and all this nonsense and everything that goes with it. So yeah, he's got to, have some time just to cruise around with that mullet during practice. You got to learn what to do before you can run a play. You have to learn a play.
Oh.
So there's going to be time. I mean, Berm knows he was locked out there on the tarmac of Port Columbus, just waiting for that plane to land. Or did check that? Did he fly up or did he drive the truck?
I would fly private. I mean, this whole name, image, likeness
He's got his
thing.
own jet now.
Yeah, he was on the Holy Kumbuka.
Yeah, something like that, right? The company jet sent him up.
Yeah.
It was interesting though. Ryan Day on Monday at his press conference, people, of course, asking 1,000 questions about Quinn Ewers, and Ryan basically said he's trying to figure out where to stretch on the field. Like, where am I supposed to do this? And it's just another reminder of how far behind he is to everyone else. I mean, even though they've only had 12 practices this month, those 12 practices combined with the spring, combined with everything else that he's
in the summer, knowing everybody's name, just where the bathrooms are. I mean, I remember I first got in the league, it was like a maze walking around there. It's a lot bigger now than what it was. So
they're actually a lot more hallways than what they had back when you guys opened.
Very cavernous.
It is difficult to maneuver. But you have to get all that down, which is what we were talking about last week with Jay-Z and Cardale. Like, you got to get these basics down, and then you have to learn the playbook and learn how to break down coverages and slide protection. That stuff is not going to happen for a while, and people are still asking, well, now he's here. He's going to get to start practicing. How quickly can he get up to speed? It's probably not going to happen until January. And Ryan Day's, I think, today was the first time he could address him specifically. He signed and he's in the program, and it's like, hey, who knows what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. You don't want to say that anything can absolutely not.
Anything can happen.
Anything could happen, Bob, but they are not. Nobody is expecting that to be a likely outcome for Quinn Ewers.
The only reason he's trotting out to the huddle in a game this year is if a lot of bad things have happened, in my opinion.
A lot of bad things have happened.
I don't think that they're wanting to do that. I think, this is just get them here, get them in the program, start working on what they need to, get them in the weight room, put some muscle on them, that sort of thing. Not that you have to be huge to be a quarterback, but, just get that body transformation that we've seen a ton of guys go through. And,
body transformation.
Yeah, right. I mean, I wish I had that. Well, Al Johnson didn't transform my body into nothing back in the day.
You could probably talk to Mick if you want to go in there. If you're willing to dedicate yourself.
Can I come in with you in the mornings?
If you're willing to dedicate yourself.
I'm not.
Exactly. All right. So
I did a 30-minute bike ride this morning. That's about as much as I go.
Jay-Z and I are getting ready for Friday with the Roosters golf outing.
Roosters golf outing.
That's what we're focused on right now. Speaking of that, you can get some $2. Got the mozzarella sticks over there, Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm. Appetizer Tuesdays.
Is there a jingle for mozz sticks?
Oh, I love mozzarella sticks. They're just fried cheese and so delicious and gooey in your mouth. I dip them in the marinara, but since I'm Schlegs, I like to dip them in ranch too.
Why not? That's $2 on Tuesday for a basket of that.
I thought he was here. I closed my eyes and just thought Schlegel was in the room.
With the raspy voice.
I'm not sure that the raspy voice is that difficult to pull off, but Bob's definitely got a head start with the 15 years of hanging around with that guy.
No doubt about it.
It's so much fun making fun of him. He's such a good sport about it too.
He needs to get away from Jacksonville and get back for at least one episode.
So
this year.
I had a friend ask me, he was going down there, he works in the media. He's like, hey, I'm in Jacksonville tonight. I haven't texted him back. He's like, I'm going to have to hit up Schlegs to see where good spots to eat are. I'm like, you think Schlegs was down there by himself? Even the only thing he probably did was go through a Chick-fil-A or something down there. They don't have Roosters, so we were trying to mail them down the mac and cheese bites. I think they sent them all down. That's why we
don't have them anymore.
Berm is freaking out.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
National shortage of mac and cheese bites.
Yeah, so I left here last week thinking, okay, I got to get my mac and cheese bites somewhere. So I stopped at Sheetz on the way home. They're out too.
Oh,
everyone's out.
I didn't know they had.
I wonder. I could maybe make you some mac and cheese bites.
I don't think it's going to be the same, Bob.
Well, might be better.
Chives actually said that before the show. He's like, you can go get Kraft mac and cheese, and they have plenty of batter back there. Berm, restaurant expert that he
is,
that's
just not the way it works.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you need to freeze it. You need to. It's a big process.
You've looked into this process.
Yeah, I don't know how to make a fried mac and cheese ball. I'm not a moron.
You'd kind of look like one though.
What, dude?
Oh, goodness gracious!
It's not. You didn't even grow it out. It's a freaking wig.
Oh,
that's why I say that.
You just told everyone the secret.
Yeah, I know, but it's just because you're such a
how about that
much better looking guy without it.
How about
you didn't look too shabby, huh?
What a great segue.
His first two series. They didn't do Fields any favors. He's got to stare in a 3rd and 8 from his own 20. First of all, when he got the ball, the guy tries to return it from 8 yards deep. I'm like, what are we doing? Can we get out past?
He's trying to win a job, Bob.
Thankfully, he gets to the 18, and then it's a 3rd and 8. And what do they do? False start. False start again. I'm like, oh, there you go, 3rd and 18 now. I'm just praying, don't try to be a hero and try to really squeeze one in somewhere and throw a pick. Hung in the pocket, escaped out, threw the check down, picked up 8 to 10 yards, give him some breathing room. All right. Good deal. Then you go to the next series, all right, run around a little bit, make some plays, and then boom, fumble, and they pick it up. All right, that's kind of how it starts. And then from there on out, it looked like he kind of settled in, relaxed.
Learn from it, retire the spin move. That's probably not going to work at the next level.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to keep that in his repertoire just in case, because he look. From the highlights, anyways, that they show you. Yeah. I didn't sit and watch the whole game, but
he looked good. I was watching the game. It was great because NFL Network, they had 5 in a row. It was the greatest thing ever. And so I'm like, get Andy Dalton. I was on a boat down on the Ohio River with my in-laws. I'm watching him. I'm not sitting here on a pontoon on my phone, wanting to watch Andy Dalton. I've seen plenty.
That's how badly you wanted some football back in your life? Is that?
Well, I wanted to be educated and be able to talk about it. And so I figured I'd sit down and watch a little Bears and who the heck were they even playing?
Yep. There we go.
Dolphins, right?
Dolphins, yeah.
And like
Browns had the Jags.
It's about Browns Jags. And I watched like Tua do this thing that I'm glad Justin didn't do. It's in the red zone, trying to bend one into Sheehan in there, and it's like, throws it, intercepted. I'm like, probably should have just eaten that and taken the 3 points.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with some of these young guys. So if Justin continues to play like this, I think he'll be the day one starter.
All right. The day one starter for Ohio State has not yet been officially determined.
Well,
but
Ryan said he thought he would know this weekend.
Today
but
was
maybe another week to know.
Well, today
sure.
was the strongest. He acknowledged that there was separation. It's C.J. Stroud. This is the first time that he's actually said it, even though you could see it. That we know that C.J. Stroud was the backup. We know that he was first in line throughout spring. We know all about the throwing sessions he was organizing with the receivers in the summer, continuing to take first-team reps, even while they rotated for the first 12 days of practice. But this is that time now. He didn't say, hey, this is definitely going to happen at Minnesota. C.J. Stroud will take the first snap. But this was the first time that he said one guy by name and said there was separation. So it's not a surprise, I don't think, to any of us.
Yeah,
based on all those things I said.
Read into it what you will. I mean, we've all been expecting for months that C.J. Stroud is going to be the eventual starting quarterback. So, for Ryan Day, just to make a little bit of a difference as opposed to the last couple weeks where he's like, oh, it's too early, it's too early, it's too early. At least now he's acknowledging that it's not too early. And I just think you still want to just keep motivating the guys behind him to keep working through this week as hard as it can.
What else is interesting, it seems a little bit as if like Kyle McCord is maybe taking like the number 2 role as well, which, him being the last guy of those 3 to enroll, but a 5-star guy nonetheless, very talented. And that's why I said, I think this job will be won, but I don't know if it's ever going to be written in stone over the next 2 years. With Ewers being here, Kyle McCord, I only anticipate him getting better throughout the season. And not that I think CJ will struggle, but there might be a point in time where all of a sudden, one of these guys looks so much better than the starter in practice. Okay, we might need to get him some reps. And I don't think Ryan would hesitate to make a move if he felt like there was a better player or a better option who maybe wasn't just the incumbent starter.
You're talking about mid-season changes. I can tell Jay-Z's starting to
Well, I'm just thinking about Clemson back in the day when they had the kid that took them to the playoffs or whatever the year before, and then Trevor Lawrence comes in, and that's a different scenario because you have an older guy with a younger guy. Here they're both young. So if McCord continues, I guess he's behind a season because the other 2 had at least one season, one full season. So he's a little bit behind, but as he continues to learn and mature in his offense, come week 6, if he's lighting it up in practice and CJ's just looking okay, why wouldn't you maybe say, let's give this kid a shot? They're the same age, they're almost on the same boat, age wise, and if he does come and shows that he has got it all there, I could see Ryan going that way. He wants to win ball games. He has to get his best players out on the field.
I think that would be the tough part about this hypothetical is because they're both young, and if you feel like right now and heading into the opener that C.J. Stroud is your guy, those first 2 games are not cakewalks on the road.
That's why I think if you have a guy who's more ready now, that you would go with that versus potentially a guy who he's showing flashes, but he also has some valleys. So we need to make sure we win these games. It's not like we're opening up with,
it's not like we're going against Akron or something like that where, we're going to get everybody a couple reps or a couple series here and there. This is you got a Thursday night game against a Big Ten opponent, and then, the week after that, you're having Oregon coming to town. So
Day on Monday talked about it. He said, aside from just the leadership piece that CJ has, but he's taking care of the ball. And Ryan always kind of throws in those little things that are just breadcrumbs. He's not turning the ball over, and that's what, for a young quarterback, a guy like Kyle in his first real work, is a little bit more willing to take chances with the football.
I think we saw that in the spring game. He's much more willing to do so.
And
risky business.
Right. And these first couple games don't have really
risky
room for friskiness. You know what I'm saying?
There it is.
You gotta be.
Listen, if I had Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, I'd be just closing my eyes and throwing it to the sideline.
You just got to trust that they're going to either catch it or knock it out of the other guy's hand.
Listen, Joe Bowserman did that, and he didn't have either one.
Because Joe Bowserman threw it into the stands.
I saw one. I did see one go into the stands once. Yeah.
I mean, the coach always jokes
you said towards the sideline. You didn't say it had to be on the field.
Joe is the first player, and Justin can tell you how many times, because you'll hear him the coach be just throw it away, throw it in the stands. They say it all the time. It's just figuratively throw it away, not actually.
Not actually put it in the first row.
There's like 12 yards of sideline plus like 10 feet of elevation that he somehow cleared. No one was going to catch that.
He's got a strong arm. Joe Baseball. He had a strong arm. He could get that into the stand.
And it was in Miami, so I think like hit an empty bleacher too.
Well, yeah, of course.
He did that in a game at Nebraska. I mean, it was really bad.
Yeah,
a few times, I believe, according to the passing chart.
Was not a great day. That was the beginning of. I mean, that was Braxton Miller started that game, and the Buckeyes were rolling, and then he got hurt, and then.
I watched that game.
Braxton got hurt. Yes, I know.
I don't remember that ever happening. What else were you saying about Kyle McCord there, Brim?
I'm just saying, like that sort of thing is what makes the difference, I think, for Ryan Day heading into these first few games, especially when you go on the road to start the season at Minnesota. It's going to be they return like 186 players or something like that.
That's a lot.
And then you got Oregon and
Diet Pepsi and Sierra Mist.
Right, and then you have Oregon and Kayvon Thibodeau, who's a real threat as an edge rusher, and someone who's maybe a little loose with the football doesn't work in that situation.
Yeah, that's not what you want, especially because there's now this possibility of a different right tackle being out there for Ohio State.
Who's that?
Dewand Jones.
The big man.
I think that
He's a big man.
I'll see what you three think about this and how legitimate you think it is as an option. Greg Studrawa said there were still several things they were working through. And so I think one of the most fascinating parts about this is that it's not just a battle at right tackle, because if you had that, then Nicholas Petit-Frere would be winning that against Dewand Jones, or Thayer Munford against Dewand Jones. It's more of this last spot. So Matt Jones playing well at left guard, is he going to give you enough that he's your fifth guy, so then you can put Munford and Petit-Frere back at tackle? Or is Dewand Jones elevated to a point where he needs to be on the field and the only place you can put him is right tackle, and then you shuffle elsewhere? It's a really interesting dynamic. I think probably not an easy decision for Ohio State, but a reminder of the depth and versatility and flexibility they have right now.
Well, and it's a lot different than really any other position group, because like, you're wide receivers, you can move this guy, and maybe playing inside versus outside is a little bit different. But it's the one position group where literally all five guys have to be working together and in sync. If you don't, it doesn't matter how good they are individually. If you're turning guys loose and nobody's blocking them, like that's the worst case scenario. So you'd rather have five guys at least that can communicate and know what the heck's going on with each other. And so you bump there, and it's like, all right, well, this is something you really haven't done, a lot. Are you going to be, how good will you be at this? And I think it'll be pretty good. I'll understand it. Like Dewand Jones, like, are you that much of a dominant force on the outside to where you're great in pass pro, and you're also just, I think this team's going to run the ball a lot, just a road grader. I mean, the guy, he doesn't really look like a normal human. Like, their offensive line is all massive, but this guy's,
the picture of him and Orlando Pace, I think, and he may have been bigger than Orlando Pace.
He is an enormous man.
It's insane. I think what they're doing, the reports coming out of them switching all these guys around, it goes to what Bobby kind of just said, what we talked about beforehand, maybe a run-heavy kind of an offense with the young quarterback saying, all right, we got to get our five best, run blockers out there. They're going to be all right pass-wise, if that's what they've done. And we're going to be doing a lot of play action, trying to get these, get these linebackers and safeties coming downhill off of the run game. So it's an interesting thing, but, man, that offensive line, they're all 6'6" and above, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
I think Harry Miller's like
Harry Miller is
6'4".
But again, because you're not going to have a center who's 6'7" center out there, but he's still about as big as you could possibly.
Well, yeah, he's as big as you can. And last year they saw games where you got to throw some guys in and have a mixed match. So I think it's great that they're getting the experience, even if they don't end up going with that lineup. You're moving people around, showing them, teaching them now. So come season time, if something does happen or they need to make a change, people can move around and shift around, and they're not going to miss a beat, because that room, that offensive line is going to be a huge part of what this offense can do. And I know we have all the weapons on the outside and everything else, but it all starts right there, especially with a young quarterback.
And it was Thayer's idea, which I think is the most interesting thing. He actually, last week when we were meeting with the offensive line group, said that, we actually talked about it when we got to talk to the offensive line in the spring, and we were like, oh, did you talk to Paris about coming back and how that impacts him? And it was actually Dewand that was impacted the most, because, so Thayer told Dewand, if you do all the right things, if you're on, working, if you're
all the right moves,
make all the right moves, no risky business, we're
just looking for a few good men out there.
That's all you got to do.
Welcome to 80s and 90s Tom Cruise movie day.
And they've got more than a few good men. I mean, they really do have, it's purple rain all over that place.
It was almost Days of Thunder out there with this rain coming down. Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, but that makes the mission almost impossible, Bob.
I can't think of a single Tom Cruise movie to go with.
I mean,
We're gonna get Jay-Z some Steel Magnolias, and we're gonna take
Vanilla Sky, was he in that one?
Was it Vanilla Sky?
Here's the good news.
Well,
When
we keep finding out that Jay-Z doesn't actually watch movies every week. Like,
No. Well, I do enjoy Tom Cruise.
I mean, if you
when
can,
Stud
yeah.
gets this figured out, he'll be able to sit back and have a cocktail, and it'll all be cocktails and dreams for everyone.
Cocktails and Dreams.
that's enough for me.
are we good? Have we reached our quota? That's probably a good place to put a pin.
It's
in
probably
it.
a mission impossible to get to the break.
Jay-Z is going to fire up IMDb while we're taking a quick break, eating some mozzarella sticks, which are here for Appetizer Tuesday. We'll be right back with
You know what?
No, Bob, we're coming right back.
How about this rain, man?
Stop it.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge. We are cruising into the second segment. Bob's still trying to come up with more references for the rest of the show. Jay-Z, I think, has figured out what he might be able to drop in. We'll see if he can squeeze one in as we get along here.
I got a haircut.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, he got a hair.
Oh, that's delightful.
Thank you.
Try not to pay too much attention.
It's almost like you went to The Last Samurai to have them carve your hair up.
Oh boy.
That wasn't even the one he wanted to drop in there.
Forgot about that movie.
Just
Everyone
time
should,
ago.
what
everyone
movie
should
do
forget
you
about it.
remember, Jay-Z?
What's his name in Tropic Thunder?
Oh, jeez.
That was maybe his best.
That may be Tom Cruise's best
That might be.
thespian act.
We found a
pretty
movie
good.
that Jay-Z has watched. It's Tropic Thunder. Now we know.
Yeah, I guess.
Get your references ready for
That's
that.
it.
There's not a lot of you can reference that movie about
we can't-
Anymore.
and keep our.
Can't really say that
Not anymore. Yeah, no, you're
on
right.
YouTube and keep people coming back. And we don't want to be canceled.
They might come back,
Do not
but
want to be
they just might not be able to find it because
That's
it'll
right.
be removed from the
Roosters.
servers.
Nicole might not let us come back. She's getting ready for that golf tournament, by the way. Jay-Z and I are going to go win it. Came up a one or a tiebreaker short last year.
I think it was a tiebreaker short last year, so we're stacking the team. We're coming for him.
Okay, we got
Stacking the team.
Oh yeah,
this guy's going to lead the way for us.
yeah.
Jay-Z. We're going
I'll lead off.
to get Craig Krenzel out
Yeah, we
there.
got CK coming, and then a little
We're gonna
Stoney.
put something in the fairway, then we're going to let Stoney
No,
turn it
just-
absolutely loose. I don't,
Amazing how far you can hit the ball.
I don't know how. Like Jake Ballard, it's something about tight ends just matching
I
the
guess.
golf
Well,
ball.
Jake's a huge.
But he's a huge human.
yes.
Stoney
It makes
has
sense.
like slimmed down tremendously since his playing day, and he just absolutely.
When you grow up on a golf course, it's just a different life.
That's just like Bob.
He was swinging
Bob
at a
will do
young
his
age.
events in the next couple months.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, so
Oh.
that's like why farming is a part of my life.
Yeah.
Mowing grass, cutting down
Mowing,
trees,
mulching.
mulching,
You-
all
oh,
the
yeah.
yard, all the
All
yard
this
work.
stuff.
You and
Yeah.
Cade Stover get together and talk about the fun.
Cade looks good out there too, by the way, and he looks like a dude that grew up on a farm because he did.
It's a day and night difference, really, between guys like that and Jake.
I don't even know. Is that a movie?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
crushed it.
It's gonna, yeah, you nailed it. We're gonna keep
The
on.
best references are the ones that no one gets.
That's right.
Oh, I got it.
Really,
I-
really keeps people engaged.
Yeah.
You dropped in Cade Stover there, Bob. Is there anybody else that is emerging through 2 weeks that you've seen or heard or talked to me or Berm about that's caught you by surprise?
It's just interesting watching, because these guys were working through some things. G. Scott didn't play at all really in the spring, and it was kind of, was he ready for the start of camp? I don't feel like I remember seeing
Yeah,
him
he's been going pretty much full go since
camp started. But it was a work in progress. He changed positions, and then you're trying to throw a guy in there in fall camp. Like when you're trying to get ready and have a guy learn a new position. But I think after Jeremy Ruckert, this compilation of tight ends, where they all have these unique skill sets. Like G. Scott, running around out there, he could be a problem, a tight end. And he's a lot. I mean, I think him moving there just fully empowered him to really just go after it in the weight room and maybe at the dinner table
and
too.
the dinner table.
I mean, he is big.
He had a free for all. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Put on weight.
Well, he talked,
get
he
with
talked about
Mick.
that last week, Bob, when the tight ends were out, was that, if he was going to stay at wide receiver, it was a constant battle for him.
He's going to be starving himself.
Stay at 215.
It's real.
His frame, it's going to be easier for him to just grab that burger and become a tight end.
Yep.
And like, cool.
Start chugging down some food, man. I mean, that's
Protein shakes.
What a deal. And he still
Breakfast, lunch, and
moves
dinner.
very well.
Oh, he runs great. But like the reality is his body, like he's a big dude. Like this is the same thing with Court Williams. Like guys that are like bigger dudes and like to work out. I mean, they just like pack on muscle. Seven Banks is another one of those guys, like Damon Arnett. I mean, they just have the ability to get big. Now, you know, those guys, Seven and Dame, like, okay, you can maybe slide a strong safety, but you just keep it together at corner. But, you know, if you're talking about a guy like G. Scott or a guy like Court Williams, like, hey, man, there's nothing wrong with like sliding into the box and being more of an outside backer or a tight end versus a wide receiver or kind of like a strong safetyist position, because if not, it's going to be a constant battle. You're 17, 18, 19 years old. I don't know if I'm breaking news here. It only gets harder to lose weight as you get older. Okay, so
Don't say, Bob.
Yeah, well, I'm just throwing that out there to people, like in case they're like, oh, why couldn't these guys do it? And I tell them like, okay, so imagine today, then ask your dad how hard is it for him to lose 5 pounds, because you can lose it in a day or two if you want. For your dad, it's like starve yourself and run your face off, and then you are terrible. Like if you had to practice, because you'd just be exhausted.
Yeah. So when you're talking about Court Williams, though, Bob, what kind of role?
Jailhouse, by the way.
Your guy, you came in and closed the deal. How does he fit, do you think, in this defensive lineup?
You know, so I think he's doing some of the bullet stuff right now. It's tough because like it basically looks like a 4-2-5 for the most part. And it's kind of like two strong safeties. They play so much single high, usually have a strong safety down to one side or the other. And if you have them.
Do you dislike that as a linebacker, that's you're taking probably one off the field here?
Well, like, that position is kind of almost like a hybrid linebacker. Those guys are bigger. But when you have 3 wide receivers, like you have to match with like personnel. When you play Wisconsin, you're not going to play the bullet very often. Like that's the reality. You play Iowa, minimal bullet action. Illinois, minimal bullet action. You start playing some spread teams, like, okay, you can do some more stuff with that, especially spread teams that like to run the ball out of those alignments. And so then you'll go like some nickel stuff. You'll bring in like a corner, move some other guys around. But I don't hate it. It's just a function of how the game is being played. So you have to be able to match like personnel. And so when you can get those guys who are, 6'1" to 6'3", 210 to 220 that can run and move.
They can keep up with
keep up,
Devontae Smith.
but can also go down and fill
when he's
fill
going
hard.
in motion and coming back out.
Yeah, they can go down and fill in the run. Like I think that's a huge benefit to be able to have those guys.
Burn, with one more week under our belt, what did you learn last week that, I don't know, surprised you, liked, didn't like?
I mean, I continue to like what I see out of Ryan Watts. I think that at corner,
Another big dude.
yeah, just a different type of body style than you're used to seeing at corner. And I think that, and Ryan Day alluded to it this morning, this is the first time Kerry Combs has had everyone healthy in the secondary.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Everyone was practicing. Yeah.
everyone's out there. Court Williams, as you said, I mean, he's back now, finally getting into some 7-on-7 stuff that he wasn't able to do after, his knee injury, lower body issue a year ago.
It was a knee. We can say it.
It's just great to see them all back and running around. But I really think that the young guys are going to make some plays for that secondary, and that goes from Ja'Kalen Johnson, who you wrote about last week, to Jordan Hancock, to Watts, to Cavazos if he's healthy. Legend is a really special athlete if he's engaged and dialed into the football part of life. But I think the difference is always about safety. I keep going back to that. Josh Proctor looks much more mature than he has in recent years.
The look part has always been there for Josh Proctor. I mean, I think it's if you act and carry yourself with that maturity, and everything I've seen being around him, the times that I have, it's there. I think that he's a person that gains the most from what we've talked about with last year's struggles, where you need to be able to sit in a room with your defensive coordinator, and you need to be able to take that to the field, and the Zoom stuff and not being able to practice. That really hurt Josh Proctor because he was being asked to replace a 3-year starter and a captain in Jordan Fuller with none of the experience that Jordan Fuller had. That was a major problem.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that secondary. Just come out if they all can stay healthy going into the season. Just giving Kerry his full arsenal of guys, because last year we saw a couple of key injuries early on, and then he's just trying to piece together what they're able to do. I'm excited for that. There's going to be some guys who step up, and we're going to get back to that best in America type thing. I feel like, towards the end of this year, we will be back to that.
And I think that there's also a bonus happening here for the Buckeye secondary, in that they're getting to work with Matt Barnes a lot more. And Matt Barnes is a super, super bright guy. Like, that guy coaches and teaches different than Kerry Combs does. And it might be connecting with these kids in a different way. Kerry's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for?
Old school.
high energy. Matt is a little bit more, diplomatic, cerebral. Perhaps a little more thorough in the actual teaching of the why you're doing something, as opposed to just go do it because you're a freak athlete and you should be able to.
Bring the juice.
Right, the juice, exactly. Everyone loves the juice.
And so what's interesting with that, Josh Proctor, they're playing a lot of single high safety now, and single high safety isn't difficult to play. It's fairly simple in what you're being asked to do, but it's really difficult to play really well. It takes a lot of instincts. You have to have big vision to be able to consume a lot of information, not lock in on different guys, get drained out of your position, reading the quarterback, understanding them, being able to really go almost numbers to numbers to make plays. So he has that physical ability. I think Josh Proctor's getting more comfortable back there. This team suffered a ton of injuries, through last season, the spring, with Cam Brown and Seven Banks both being out. But in doing that, I think it allowed guys like Watts, Legend Cavalos when healthy, some of these young guys. And even honestly, I know a guy who Berm has been championing for years, 6 years as a matter of fact, Demario McCall.
Love Demario.
I was very pleasantly surprised with how he looks completely different than those other guys, because he's like a little sprite out there.
Well, it's him, Marcus Williamson, and Cam Martinez in the little guy role.
Short guy. But he has played corner really well. I mean, and talking to people, should have probably done this 2 or 3 years ago with him, because he's competitive, he's quick, he has pretty good ball skills. I know everyone looks back on the spring when he got turned around, couldn't find the ball, but it's the first time he
was also matched up on Chris Olave. Well, you're going to be thrown out after 15 practices. I've said this a couple of times now. I have to give Demario McCall credit for embracing the move and trying really hard at it to find a way. And because I've been extremely critical of him, probably more than anybody else on this roster, for the weaknesses in his game on the other side of the ball. But if you're trying, and clearly he didn't leave. He didn't take what happened in the spring and said, you know what, that sucks, I'm out of here. He took a 6th year, and you're making him go play cornerback and slot cornerback, and
one of the hardest positions. It's not like he's just going to.
No,
that's like one of the hardest positions to play, right?
He did play it in high school a little bit, but obviously it's way different at North Ridgeville.
6 years ago.
It's a little bit different at North Ridgeville than going up against Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave every day in practice. But it's just
for him.
Those guys, Demario, Marcus Williamson. I mean, those guys that have been here a long time, and they're just trying to find a way to make an impact. And Marcus Williamson, we don't ever talk about him.
I like Marcus,
and he played a ton last year, and is going to be a starter this year. So there's just all these guys that they're trying to figure out a way to get on the field, and then they're
going to play a lot of guys.
Yeah, and then you got the Lathan Ransoms of the world that have to play. Lathan's too good not to, and so you got to figure out how to get all these parts moving around, and that flexibility on the defense is going to be a big part of what they do.
The great part is, I really believe they'll probably consistently play between 8 and 10 DBs a game. In meaningful action. I'm not talking about, fourth quarter when you're up by 28 points. I think they'll roll a lot of guys. They'll do a lot of packages, a lot of subbing, and we'll be good, because if injuries come, that'll be part of it. You keep guys really, really fresh. And the question you always have is playing young guys. Are you worried they're going to make mistakes? But listening to Lathan Ransom talk, the questions that he asks, these guys are really bright. They're very intelligent players, which puts the coach at ease a lot more. If you're asking that question, that means that you obviously understand what we're doing, because you're smart enough to be well, if they do this, then what should I do? So you've thought through a couple layers of the process.
How tough is that to just rotate? I mean, as a defense,
it's not as hard.
No, I mean, it's not.
It's not as hard as you think, especially when you're going to do it. The starters, the first line guys, they'll probably play, I would imagine, 60, 65%, and then you'll probably get the rest of the guys 35, 30% of stuff. Because here's the thing that you don't think of. A quarterback just reps, seeing it, feeling it. There's times where as a defensive player, they run you down the field 65, 70 yards. And instead of you jogging back and getting gas, when they bring in a new receiver, the guy that you were covering, you have to run back up there.
You got to do it again.
They're hey, get him out, go, next guy. You take a couple plays,
boom,
get a little bit of shot of water, boom, you come back in. And so it's all right, you're not just sitting there reeling, trying to catch your breath, you're tired.
Getting a call, what is it? Oh, God, never mind, they're snapping the ball, I'm running back 70 yards.
And that's what it is. And so you can reset, recalibrate yourself, and so you feel every rep you go out there, you're getting quality reps, as opposed to your legs are feeling heavy, you don't feel good about your situation.
Bob, I really appreciate the fact that you did our show with your shirt on this week. I know that you did some.
Well, we're inside at a restaurant.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd be allowed to be in here. They do have a sign up that says no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Well, that was a good one by old Ben Hartsock, our old teammate.
He asked
Saw
me to
that.
do it. I'm like,
Well, yeah, you don't care.
I get really hot in my office when I'm doing shows. And it was just like, we have the Zoom up just for our own enjoyment. So I'm like, all right, man. I mean, I don't care.
Show these guys
As
what I'm
long as
working with.
we don't have female producers, which sometimes we do. So I respect them. And if I ask and if they care, okay. If not, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Listen.
Just like looking like Rod Tidwell in there and showing
I did well.
just ripping off that shirt and dancing around in the kitchen, talking to his
Show him
agent.
the money.
Show me the money.
Walking around like Mickey Mouse, dude. Just pants, no shirt. Does anyone ever question the fact why Mickey Mouse only wears pants and Winnie the Pooh only wears a shirt?
And Donald Duck getting away with some weird stuff too. But that tells me that we're at the end of the
And
show.
That's the firm ending of the show.
yeah,
There it is.
firm.
There was one more left. All right. Anybody else? Jay-Z, did you find one?
No.
He's racking his brain.
No.
We're going to cruise out of here. That's Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. A lot more coverage of training camp on the way. That opener is coming up soon on September 2nd for Ohio State at Minnesota. Can't wait for that. Thanks to Roosters again for having us in here in the Lettermen Lounge. We'll be back here next Monday. We will see you then.